And we are back with SGMD. You know, a while ago, we brought you the story of Dr. Q, Alfredo Quiñones. He's a fellow neurosurgeon who has an unforgettable story. In fact, at age 19, he jumped this chain link fence between Mexico and California to work as a farm laborer. He made his way through college, eventually became a world-class brain surgeon at Johns Hopkins. We heard from a lot of you about him, wanting to hear more. Here it is. The details of this, I think, are fascinating. So you literally have hopped the fence. You don't have a plan.
That's right.
I mean, what do you do? Do you go to a farm? Do you start asking around? What do you do?
That's exactly right. So when people come to the United States and they come from humble backgrounds like myself, the very first place where you can get a potential job are those jobs in which you have to get your hands, dirty, in which your hands bleed of pulling weeds on the fields. And that was a place where a lot of immigrants have traditionally come to the United States. For me, it was the San Joaquin Valley in California.
How much did you get paid?
My very first check was $162. And I always tell people that I realized that at that pace, working from sunset to sundown in the summer, 7 days a week, it was going to be a lot of hard work. And I remember, I tell you, Dr. Gupta, my hands, the very same hands that now do brain surgery, right around that time, they had scars everywhere from pulling weeds. They were bloody.
You went to Harvard Medical School, and it makes me wonder, did you ever question yourself? I mean, you said other people questioned you. Did you ever think to yourself, you know what, I don't belong here?
Yes, many times. Many times I questioned myself. I questioned myself when I was in medical school. I questioned myself before I was in medical school at UC Berkeley. I question myself today, Dr. Gupta, that I am fit to do what I do every day. But I think that that's also what has kept me on the top of my game. I question every single move I do every day. You know, back then when I was in medical school, I remember thinking, wow, I look at my classmates. As you know, you had some of them who trained at the best prep schools in the country, who came from the most distinguished families in the United States, from tradition of education. And there was me, who barely had an education, but I was eager to learn. And I always knew that I had something that others didn't have, and that was that fire in my belly that keeps me going.
But what is the fire now? Now you've accomplished so much. What keeps the fire going?
I mainly deal with patients with brain cancer. And every single day, Dr. Gupta, I have to give bad news. I have to give bad news not only to my patients, but to their families. And I see it in their eyes. I see the desperation. Sometimes it only takes us to touch a patient. It takes only to acknowledge that you've been given a gift by operating on them that can make a difference on the way they view themselves or in the way that their families view the disease. And I acknowledge that as a potential contribution that I make for my patients every day. But my fire is simple. I want us to find better ways to treat brain cancer.
I remember the first time that I scrubbed. You come in and they hand you the towel and you dry your hands. Then they gown you, and then you're putting your hands in the gloves, and they're holding the gloves for you. For me, it was an amazing moment, but I didn't come from where you came. To be that person having picked those weeds in the field, and then now to have someone holding your gloves for you, that must have been an amazing moment for you.
It was so amazing that I was so nervous and so excited at the same time that I contaminated myself, and they sent me back out. To change
over
again.
The fence again.
Climb over again. But it's an accelerated moment. You are tense, your adrenaline is going through. And I was coming in exactly that moment when the attending asked me, you want to scrub in and help me as a medical student? Sure, I am at Harvard and I am excited, but no words can describe that feeling. The way you describe it, your hands coming in and it's awkward, they're not going in, but yet you're shaky with an adrenaline and you're focusing all that energy. It's just, I really have no words to describe it. But I was so excited that when I turned around my gown actually hit the wall and got contaminated. So they sent me back out and scrub again. It was quite a moment.
Well, next I'm going to ask Dr. Q, does he have any regrets about breaking the law to chase his dreams? Stay with SGMD. Welcome back. You know, I've been talking with Dr. Alfredo Quiñones. He came to the United States at age 19 as an illegal farm worker. He eventually made his way to Harvard Medical School and now Johns Hopkins, where he's a top-notch brain surgeon. You've known people, friends and family members, who have succumbed to this disease.
Yes.
Your grandfather?
Unfortunately, my grandfather succumbed to metastatic cancer to his brain. Classmate of mine in medical school succumbed. One of my best friends, his own sister, dying and succumbing against this disease. I decided that I want to be part of it. I want to make a small contribution. Whether it's me or my students, someone is going to have to do it. And someone will find a cure.
The amnesty that President Reagan allowed immigrants to come to this country helped you come to this country. You've also seen now, 22 years later, how much has changed and what's happening along the borders right now. Is this something you think about, you weigh in on?
I think about it all the time, Dr. Gupta. I don't weigh in a lot, obviously, because I'm not an authority on this issue of immigration. I can only talk about my own experience as an immigrant and what it was like when people say, well, immigrants, they come in here, they're lazy, they don't work hard, or they don't, they want to take advantage of the government. I don't think that's true. If you look through generations of many, many immigrants from many different countries, I think that most immigrants, they want to come to the United States because they want to fulfill the American dream.
Technically, Q broke the law.
That's right.
That's, I think that's what this is all about. Are they breaking? I've heard everything proposed from let's offer amnesty to all undocumented workers, to let's create mechanisms to find them all and make sure that they're returned to their homes, their home countries. I mean, do you have an opinion on that?
I can only speak for myself. If I had been in that situation 20 years ago, just like many immigrants are today, and it happened to a certain degree when I was allowed, when I came to the United States, they cut me and they sent me back to my country, what did I do? I had to come back again. I had to climb the fence again. I think that as long as there's poverty, people are going to keep trying their best.
All right, Dr. Q, thanks so much. Something all doctors are interested in, Medicare